Alright, I think I'm live. Still getting the orange, or maybe I should have waited a little longer. My internet went down in my area. I called. They said it'd be back up around 2. It's back. I'm still in the orange though, so I probably should have waited to do, my second attempt. I'm probably not gonna I'm gonna leave the first attempt for those that seen that. I'm just gonna leave that on private or whatever. Probably won't. Didn't get much, and I learned quite a few things since then. So, what you're seeing here is it actually helps the point I was making about trials, the IP trials. But let me just quickly talk about, or just go over what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to try to clear up because of Trials Rising came out on Tuesday. I love the game. It's got some technical hiccups, but because of the podcast on Monday, Ms. T was saying that he didn't think it was a technical game, and then I watched some reviews and previews of the Trials Rising open beta, and I realized people kind of have a different, most people have a different approach or mindset when it comes to Trials. And then the thing I'm glad I became aware of is just there's even confusion about Trials at like the franchise. So when I say Trials, I'm talking about Ubisoft, Ready Links, Trials HD, Trials Evolution, Trials Fusion, and now Trials Rising. So they made 4 games. This right here is Urban Trial Playgrounds on the Switch. I was not aware there were so many knockoffs. So there's a 3DS one, Urban Trials Freestyle or something. This is the Switch Urban Trial Playground. And from my, over the last 10-15 minutes, been watching some gameplay. And this to me looks like Crash Bandicoot side-scrolling sections versus top line, Mario, like Super Mario World versus Crash's trash mechanics and stuff. So, and what's up, Falcon Black? You've been a long time. So yeah, so the first thing I want to clear up is not all Trials games are equal. So if it's not made by Ubisoft or published by Ubisoft, made by Ready Links, then it's not a Trials game that I'm talking about. I've never played one of these knockoffs. Like I said, it's like somebody judging a 2D platformer on Crash or Sonic instead of Mario, the king. So, so pretty much if it's got anything before the word trial and it's not Trials with an S, I'm not talking about it. Specifically, these games are, like I said, they're knockoffs. And the biggest thing I can see being, the biggest difference being the lack of real physics and animations. The animations are pretty terrible. The physics seem to be okay, but again, this is like Crash Bandicoot versus Mario. I mean, that's just very basic. So yeah, let's look at the 3DS one, because this one looks pretty good for a 3DS game, but it kind of cracked me up. To me, this almost has better bike physics than the Switch version. But yeah, so to me, these are more amateur knockoff type games, and the main ones, like I said, are made by Ready Links, published by Ubisoft. But this, for a 3DS game, these tracks and backgrounds look pretty good. It makes me wonder why the Switch version has to, of the actual Trials brand has to run at 30 frames per second. Yeah, and I'll talk about Pokemon too. I forgot about that. Yeah, to me, this looks better. This looks more like the Ubisoft games than the Switch version. The Switch version looks like fucking hot garbage to me. But anyway, let's look at the Switch version now that we've seen. Where was it? Nintendo Switch. course, to be ads. So yeah, just while we wait for this, I bought Trials Rising on Tuesday. It's the second great game I've bought this year with Resident Evil 2, and 2019 is shaping up to be pretty spectacular. So this was Trials Rising. I think this is from the final version. The game runs at 720p on Switch with 30 frames per second, and according to Digital Foundry, it's got frame pacing issues, so it feels a little jerky. But you can see the big difference over that Urban Trials bullshit looking game. With the way just the way the bike lands and the rider moves, and this obviously is the least graphically impressive version of Trials Rising. But the main point I wanted to talk about, other than the fact that there is a misconception about what is a Trials game, this is like right here. There's some gameplay of like an easy level, and when I was watching previews after T and I's, it was like a less than 1 minute debate about whether these games are technical. I realized a lot of people just look at these games as this, big air, landing on your wheel, make sure you land properly, keep them speed, and get into the end. And, you can see the medal system. You got a silver. It actually goes to diamond. And then I think there's one beyond that I've never seen. But getting a platinum on these levels is actually really hard. So, again, this is Switch. Looks light years better than that Urban Trial game. Like it makes the Switch version look so much better now to me. But the other side of this game is the super dedicated, hardcore. They took this game to a whole nother level. I don't even know if Ubisoft and ReadyLinks knew that it was like some of the stuff was possible. What they did was they just made a physics system, and shout out to Gamer Talk. Yeah, it's a physics-based puzzle, basically, with motorcycles. Good way to say it. They put so much emphasis in the physics of the suspension that you can actually use real-world motorcycle techniques and apply them to this game, and it works when it comes to preloading the shocks, like before a jump. If you put your weight down to compress the shocks when you hit the edge of a jump, you'll go way higher and way further, and that's what actually motocross people do. So you can actually apply the real world logic and physics to these motorcycles, and it works. So because of that, and this user created, the game's got a track creator. So this whole other element to this game cropped up, and now Ubisoft are ready. Ooh, it said I reconnected. Are we reconnected? OBS is still. Yeah, did it reconnect? I mean, it's still playing my video. It said OBS connected. Am I still live? Fucking Comcast just decided to like work on the fucking cable lines today for some reason. But we're back. I don't know what you guys missed, but I was saying I don't know why this looks cel shaded, but so the ninja level, I don't know if I haven't actually got to any, so I don't know if they're actually in the game or these are user created levels. So they're just using the physics in the game and their precise movements. I don't know if they're using elite controllers or what to like control their momentum, but like this track, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do this section right here. I guarantee it. Look at this technique. It's ridiculous. Getting over this, I mean, maybe, but to have to clear those barrels right there, and this blows my mind right here. Just climbing this straight, I would have never thought this was possible. And if it looks bad in the stream, this video looks really low quality to me. Like terrible. That's a little better. But just the level that someone could take this game, it's like Breath of the Wild in a way where they put in, you know, a physics system. They put in, you know, this open air design, and, you know, people have come up with just most ridiculous things. 2 years later, we're still seeing new stuff. So it's kind of the same. It's the same thing with this game. And I just kind of wanted to shed some light on, obviously it's a franchise I like, but I want to shed some light on, you know, the possibilities of this game. It's not just a shallow, quick, little fun arcadey style 2D motorcycle game. Like, there's a whole nother world of possibilities, and it just absolutely blows my mind. Now, I don't like this right here. I could try it. I could probably fail 500 times trying to do that first part, let alone this stuff. And I don't ever have the drive to get to this point, because it's just too many hours. It's too much a lot of hand cramping and shit going on. There's no way I'm ever going to try to get to the point. A couple of these I could see the me wanting to say I could do something like this, but like this I don't even know. Like, that looks so impossible to me. You must do this just for momentum, or just to look cool. Why does it say the stream complete? God damn it. Saying stream's complete. I don't know what's going on, people. Am I on? Am I gone? It says red, stream health, output low, not receiving enough. Such viewers experience buffering. Maybe I gotta give Comcast a little more time to get this damn internet. Ah, damn. I should have waited longer. Still, it's showing red for me. How's the, maybe if I stop the video, it'll be okay. Basically, okay. Let me see if I got a video I could play that's not off the internet. Where's the Xbox stuff go? I gotta make sure this isn't on screen. Good. Don't have any there. I forget where my Xbox captures go. Here they are. All right, this is really low quality. This is actually me. Let's see if the stream health. So this is me trying to get a good time with no faults. I messed up there. And you see why, you know, it's a lot going on here, why maybe the Switch version has to be a little lower. I could have lived without some of the stuff on Switch and just had the 60 frames per second. I might have got the version. And FYI, if you bought this game on Switch and you have a GameCube controller, you can get analog triggers with the GameCube controller in this game. So this is pretty rough after just watching like a ninja track. You can see how far, and I have like, I want to say close to 50, 60 hours in this franchise, maybe more. I think this is the same track. No, it's a different track. But I'm so far away from like where those other guys are. It's almost like in Rocket League. Like, I have over 700 hours in the game now, and I'm doing some pretty cool stuff. But still, I'm still so far behind, like, where I want to be. But I'm motivated to get there. With this game, I'm not as motivated. I just want to be able to beat the extreme tracks, and I'm happy. I don't need to be a ninja, but I just wanted people just kind of shed some light. It's a great game. The Switch version's, you know, the weakest one because of the frame rate. Again, Rocket League. Playing Rocket League on Switch, switching to quality mode and playing at 30 frames per second, it's like, makes that game so hard to play. Like, the timing of everything, and maybe you get used to it if you don't know any better, but so we're going to transition stay with Trials Rising as the starting point, and talk again about. Last week I talked about third-party games on the Switch and what compromises are worth you buying the Switch version for. You know, like I have a theory Mortal Kombat 11 is going to be 30 frames per second, and it's not going to be a very good version of the game. But I bought Trials Rising on the Xbox One. I got the S version because the open beta played great. And I'm sitting here, and this is what this video is from. And I get to some of the tracks with a little more going on, a little more detail. And there is some just screen tearing like a motherfucker. Like unbelievable screen tearing. I'm just going to play some video clips just to have something going on in the background. Let me get the chat. Let me check the chat, though. No, you didn't miss the Sony bit. I had to keep starting over because of fucking internet issues. Comcast went down. Damn it. Can I not have the thing overlay? You fucker. The struggles. Yeah, it won't let me put overlay this video, so just to give you something to watch. This is me on an extreme track on the open beta, just so you can see my struggle. But so I bought the Xbox One S version, and like I said, I get to some of the, and this is I struggled on this one so hard, and I actually got it one try here. There's so much screen tearing in the game that, and this is nice right here. There's so much screen tearing that it distracts me. I've never seen so much screen tearing in a video game in my life. And it's to the point where the screen will tear. You'll see it going up. If you don't know what screen tearing is, fucking look it up. It's when two frames are out of sync and get this weird like line where they kind of cross the frames. And it's like distracting, and it pauses for a split second and fucks up a good run. I got so pissed. I haven't played it in, what, 3 days now? And I'm thinking, I'm never buying fucking another multiplat on the Xbox One S. Like, fuck this bullshit. But come to find out, and I'm glad that my internet went down because I didn't know this, it affects all versions of the game, even the Xbox One X. So it's just a glitch. And you could say, well, I mean, that's not an excuse. But at least it's not, at least I didn't just buy the wrong version, you know? So I'm glad that it's affecting other versions, because then I'm not like, oh shit, I should have bought it on PS4 or PC. It's just, you know, it's just the game, something happened, there's a bug or something affecting all systems. And trying to see if there's a video. I want to see if I want to upload, or not upload, but play, so you guys have something to look at. But it's going to be kind of spoilers for anybody who wants to play Hellblade. So I guess I won't have anything going on. Yeah, it's just a badly optimized game, so that sucks. But I'm also glad I'm not stuck with just a bad version. I initially was going to talk about how this relates to having a system that's weaker and not the lead platform. More importantly, not the lead platform. And I figured, I just assumed the PS4 version was probably fine, but it turns out it's bad on all systems. I don't know about the Switch version. It was already sketchy with bad frame pacing and frame drops when it's trying to target 30 with the 720p resolution with half the geometry and really low quality textures and stuff. But it's just affecting everybody. So my initial thought was going to be, you know, I'm done buying Xbox One S multiplats, but now it's more going to turn away from that discussion and just go into a more general discussion about when power is important. And now I guess this generation is the first example of the most powerful system kind of being the winner. 5 years in, it was that. It was the power. It was the $100 price difference. And it was the way Xbox presented the one with the Kinect and all that bullshit. It was kind of a factor of all those things, made the PS4 just jump out to a huge lead and become the lead platform for developers. But I think it was already the lead platform initially, just based on the faster RAM and a little better GPU and stuff. It was already kind of going to be the lead platform for a lot of multi-plats anyway, and how that benefits games, multi-plats for the 360. Technically, on raw power was well below the PS3, but that's an example of power being bad because it was to the, what's the word I'm looking for? It was, the negative side of the power was it was just super difficult to program for, and getting all the power of the cell was difficult and required, a lot of extra work, a lot of knowledge about the cell processor, which, Sony's first party studios knew, and a lot of the multi-plats suffered because of it. So the 360 was the lead platform because it was easier to develop for, and God, that was a tongue twister for some reason. And it got the I'm gonna try to watch a video later on, but I'm gonna make myself a little bit bigger in the meantime. Hello. The 360 got basically any multi-plat ran better on the 360. I don't think there is an example where the PS3 version of the game was better in any multi-plat ever. So that was an instance where power didn't mean as much as efficiency and ease of development. And I think the PS4 kind of slightly was easier, even though it's the same architecture and stuff. Just easier to get your games running because of the faster RAM and the better design of the hardware. So it wasn't just power, but the PS4 definitely had that and the other things, and then became the lead platform. And then you get, better versions of games, usually whether it's a more stable frame rate, higher resolution. Most of the time it's 1080p on PS4, it's 720 to 900p on Xbox, and especially Unreal Engine games. And so in that case, like I said, it's power, but it's not only power. And then another negative, Call of Duty games to the last fucking one still always ran better on the 360. PS3 games, and there was cases where the PS3 version ran at a lower resolution. I remember Call of Duty was an example. It upconverted, but the native resolution was lower, and you're thinking, why? It's got the cell and all that, but it didn't have any more RAM or anything like that. So even the late gen PS3 multiplats, still the 360 still outperformed them. And but getting back to what I was saying, Microsoft's like, all right, 4 years in or whatever, well, we're not gonna be getting beat by power anymore. We'll come out with the X, and maybe we'll be the lead platform. Well, with the Xbox One X enhanced stuff, yeah, there's most cases now the lead platform. Well, not the lead platform, but the best version of the game is on the Xbox One X, especially like Red Dead Redemption 2 ran at native 4K on the Xbox One X, and the PS4 Pro was, I don't even think it was 1440p. So it was a clear winner as far as performance. But if they don't have sales, what the fuck? One time I need your VG charts. You don't have any numbers? Let's see. Do they have any numbers? Okay, so PS4 version, according to VG charts, almost 14 million. Let's look at Xbox. I'm going to guess it's less than half. I'm going to guess like 6. Come on. 5.77. So even though they had the best version, and Red Knight's here, he's got the X. You know, he's going to buy, even if he had a PS4, he's going to buy it on the X because you get the best version of the game in a lot of cases when it comes to performance resolution. But it was too late. I don't know how much the X helped. If they didn't have the X, I wonder what this number would be. I don't even know if anybody has any numbers of how many X's are actually out in the wild. Is it 1 million? Is it 2 million? Is it less? You know, who knows? But in this case, power doesn't mean much. It's just too late. The PS4's dominance is just too great. Install base, according to VG charts, 93 million. I didn't know it was that high. Versus 41. I mean, that's over 2 to 1. And you know, that's just install base. That's just easy math. And then you know, you got the Switch catching up pretty quick. And just getting back to the Trials Rising thing, like, and what I said on my last Juice Opinions, it's going to be real hard for me to go buy a multi-plat on the Switch if there's not something really like an exclusive Star Fox content, you know, for Starlink. Something that makes it the best version. Gyro aiming in Doom, to me, is still the best console version of the game because of how well it does play. I mean, there's a few areas too, I think off the top of my head, that have some big slowdown on the Switch. But that gyro aiming just makes that so much more fun to play. So if I was deciding between PS4, Xbox One S, or Switch for Doom Eternal, it would be the Switch with gyro aiming, you know. I'm definitely getting it on PC first. But there's an instance where the Switch's lack of power, for me, because I have other options, is affecting my decision to buy a third-party game, and based on the performance. And you could say, well, it's, you know, lazy development, lazy ports. You know, there's no reason Trials is 30 frames. But I'm like, I mean, what? Unless you really want to cut a lot of other stuff, it's like, you know, playing a game that technical, getting back to that term, at 30 with issues, even though the other versions currently right now are having issues with screen tearing. It's just like, why would I play the lesser version when I have other options? So in that way, power does have a role to play, you know. For Nintendo's first party games though, it's, I mean, like Smash looks phenomenal. 60 frames per second, 1080p. Looks amazing. Mario Kart looks amazing. Odyssey looks good. Speaking of textures, Red Knight, I know you love Odyssey, but if you zoom in on those ground textures, they're pretty ugly. Speaking of ground, you know, textures in Pokemon, watching his last video, you know, it depends on the sacrifice. Like, would you rather have awesome textures in Odyssey and it be 30 frames, or would you rather have them kind of cheat the quality of the textures close up and just have a 60? You know, to me, there's not even a question. Just have the version we got running at 60. I'm happy. So you know, that's just kind of my thoughts. I will give my impressions of the Pokemon Sword and Shield now. I didn't list that in the description because I forgot. I'm not a big Pokemon guy. I will say my first impression was I thought I was going to have to pre-order the game because I made a bet kind of with Terrell, and I said, hey, if they go above and beyond and impress me, and they don't just make a Let's Go Pikachu looking game but call it the mainline game, I said I will pre-order the game. And my initial, let's find Nintendo's official trailer. I don't want the direct, I want just the trailer. I guess I'll watch the direct. My initial thoughts were they weren't lazy. The game, the scope, impressed me. We'll rewatch it again. Like this part is like, wow, like that's a pretty expansive looking world. You got the clouds casting shadows on the hills, and this is a low quality. This is the actual direct. This isn't the video by itself. But I'm like, all right, you know, this looks pretty good. You know, I'm impressed. I don't know anything about that much about Pokemon. I never played. I guess it's very similar to Sun and Moon, or X and Y, I guess. Or I think it was Sun and Moon. And then I saw a video showing the Let's Go Pikachu character model, and it's identical, except this one it's cell shaded. In Let's Go, he actually had 3D shape and shading and stuff. So I was like, all right, that's cool. I don't know why they're showing this. Apparently, and Red Knight's talking about the shoe texture. I mean, it's a cell shaded style, so it's hard to say. I get what you're saying about the jersey emblem. Like, why is that so jaggy? It's like they imported it straight from the 3DS. I don't have a problem with the sneaker, but I have a problem with how shitty that looks. That looks like terrible. But I really don't have as much problem with the sneakers. But I thought it was grander looking than I expected. But then they show this CGI, and I'm like, I'm playing a lot of PlayStation, Xbox, and PC these days, and I'm like, this is easily achievable in the current gen of non-Nintendo systems. Maybe that grass texture, but this is what the Pokemon should look like. So it's weird that they decided to go CG for this. I guess it's better to show it after, because if they would have showed this first and then the game, then you'd be like, what the fuck? Looks like trash. But it's better than I expected from the Pokemon Company. Somebody said they have a small staff for all these games. Why? You're one of the richest game companies in the world. Why do you have small teams? Why are fans, and there's a good reaction, a real legit Pokemon fan, and everyone's like, nope, can't move the camera. I'm like, you can't move the camera? Like, that's a thing? I didn't even know. I guess it makes sense because the 3DSs, until the new 3DS, didn't have a right stick, but why are they showing this panning stuff if you can't pan the camera? I'm like, really? I mean, does it make that big of a difference to the game? I don't know. Hopefully they don't want you to play this with one Joy-Con in your hand, because, I mean, that would be stupid. But after rewatching it, and my initial impressions were, hey, this looks better than I ever thought it would on the Switch, to hearing that they really haven't changed anything. And it looks very similar to Sun and Moon. I don't think it qualifies for me having to pre-order the game. Now, I'm not expecting the Switch game to look like this, because there's no game that looks like this on the Switch. But it should look better than it does, and I mean, the next system Pokemon should be to this level. So, and you never understood the camera argument. I mean, if you're making, what does it hurt moving the camera? I mean, that's one of my biggest issues with God of War, the first 3 games. Like, why can't I move the camera? It's a 3D game. Why the fuck can't I move the camera? Once I could, and I loved God of War on the PS4, not just because of the camera, but man, that game just so much better than the other trash ones. So yeah, my thoughts are, it looks better than I ever expected. Doesn't look like Let's Go engine, and we're going to call it something else, but I don't think it qualifies from what we know right now for me having to go what I said. I would pre-order it if I didn't say they needed to go Breath of the Wild with it, but I think I said they needed to expand the game, and it doesn't seem like they really have. So Yeah, and I just don't understand why they want these incremental upgrades. Like they said, oh, we're gonna try new things, but we got to stay true to what makes the Pokemon experience so fun or whatever. And I'm like, well, Nintendo did that with what, 4 straight Zelda games as far as the base formula from Ocarina of Time. And look at what happened with Skyward Sword sales. I know it was the end of the generation. It was the motion controls, everything, going against it. But look at the reception to Breath of the Wild versus Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, the 3DS Wind Waker style games. It's like you had the original Zelda game. Zelda 2 was kind of a step back. Then you had Link to the Past was that next evolution. And then you got Ocarina of Time, took it into 3D, and it was, still one of the top games of all time in most people's minds. And then it took until Breath of the Wild for them to do that again. But as far as I can tell, just based on the outside looking in, listening to Pokemon fans, where was that jump for Pokemon? Was it when it went to 3D on the 3DS? Was that the first time it really had a jump? That's the first time I heard anyone talk about it, and it wasn't even full 3D. I mean, obviously it didn't even use the 3D of the 3DS, but I mean, not everything in the game was a 3D character model. And has it changed? And that was X and Y. Like, is the Switch version that much beyond X and Y? You tell me, since I haven't played them. So the next thing I want to talk about, they haven't had that jump yet, according to Clocked It. And this was their chance. I mean, going back to first time ever, a mainline Pokemon RPG on a console, which the Switch is a handheld. In Japan, it's probably more a handheld than a console, but it's their first time. I see, Fire Emblem Three Houses to me looks like, using that Discord, what are we talking about? Unforgiven. Anyway, just the app, yeah. Yeah, I use Discord. What's the big deal? Yeah, and it's true, T. You can't judge it. It's an early look. We don't know. But where was I going? Oh, I was going to talk about, someone made a comparison on Twitter. They showed 3D Land on the 3DS and 3D World on the Wii U. And you could see the base idea of the level design and stuff, but the jump in visuals, level of detail, textures, it's such a huge jump. And showing Sun and Moon versus Sword and Shield, it didn't have that same feel. And then good old OJ brought up something that I've been thinking since, and I've said it a few times over the years. Brought up the old, 3D World it didn't look so good the first time they showed it, and then the next time they showed it, it looked so much better. And I'm like, this isn't going to be a main topic, but are we still thinking that the second time we saw 3D World, it was a graphics improvement that made everybody excited? Like, seriously, we still think that? I mean, it had nothing to do with, the visuals didn't change. All they did was show more creative looking levels. Let's look at E3 2013. So this was the E3 trailer. All they did was show better variety of levels. It was a night level. They had awesome music. So this doesn't look like 3D World. This looks like the final product to me. Clear pipes, great texture work. There's still this, for whatever reason, it's always been this way. People think the game got this huge jump in visuals. To this day, that's almost like that's become the truth of revisionist history now. That's the truth, is that the second trailer, the game got a huge visual upgrade. And it's like, where did the graphics improve? This looks like 3D World. I played I have like 65 hours in the game. This is 3D World 100%. What there isn't here is any darker levels where the lighting is more impactful. There's no, this trailer didn't have the catchy music. This showed some Captain Toad. I mean, this is 3D World. Like, I just don't understand. Here's the other trailer. No. Damn it. Really? Let's see, trailer 2. So here's trailer 2. And it's like, all right, so it starts off with, like I said, nighttime, showing off the lighting. You don't see these in the day lit levels. So everyone's like, oh my God, and then let's listen to the music. Catchy music. Seeing some underwater we didn't see. Seeing the overworld we didn't see. Seeing, you know, really creative levels. Seeing a more behind the over the shoulder camera on that level. You just saw more creativity, and it was played with catchy music. What year? This was October, so it's like 3 months later. How much better do you think the game got visually in 3 months? It's just overall, it was just a better trailer. Showed off way more stuff, and with that catchy music, got people excited. It's not just a green level. You know, it really, I think for most people, it was just seeing that this wasn't a quick rush job of a game, and that they put this is a full-fledged Mario game. So I think it put people's minds at ease, even though people still to this day say it's not a true full 3D game. Whatever that means. You know, seeing that black and white level with the shadows, like it's just a better trailer. So I think it's funny that still to this day people think it was a graphical improvement that won people over with the second trailer. So I forgot how long this 2 minutes 30 seconds feels like it's been on for 5 minutes. Man, I can't believe people discredit this game. It's so good. Well, it's not a true 3D game like a 64. It's not the 64 type game. The camera's locked. Kind of. But to me, if I had to, right now, I didn't realize I was taking up most of that screen. If I had to pick Odyssey over 3D World, right now, make a decision with the gun in my head, I think I take 3D World. Call me crazy. They're both great. It's hard, really. There's not a bad answer in that. But it is one of those things in history where it's just totally never respected as a full 3D game. It's made by the full 3D team, and it's like, that game's so good. That's why it was my game of the year. Subliminal Lime, I mean, 3D World, my favorite 3D Mario of all time. It's right there. Play the Pikmin 3 trailer. All right, from where? The reveal trailer? Pikmin was not a franchise I cared about. I played until Pikmin 3. I really enjoyed it. Let's just talk about how great the Wii U was. Just finish this podcast. Fuck Sony's first party. All right, so 5 years ago and 6 years ago. Here's the E3 reveal. $720p max. Looks a little blurry. Depth of field's nice though. Real nice. How's the audio for you? Oh shit, I gotta bring the chat over here. Oh, there we go. Audio alright for these trailers? Yeah, this is before like 1080p trailers and 60 frames per second trailers were a thing on YouTube. It's so loud in my fucking ear. Yeah, this is before 60 frames per second was on YouTube. I like this game, but it's not... I don't revere it as high as a lot of others. I enjoyed it. But it does... It's not something like I can't wait to go back to, or I'm like Pikmin 4, I can't wait. But I mean, good looking game. Fun game. Man, it feels like this trailer's forever. So this was the E3 reveal. The E3 that revisionist history wants you to think wasn't a good E3 for Nintendo. So let's look at the later trailer. At least this was a year later. See if it's a different trailer. Yeah. This must have been the release trailer. I could not imagine playing this game without the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, though. So I don't know that I'm excited for Pikmin 4. But it was good E3 that year. I don't care what people said. But anyway, since we're showing all these Nintendo games, and I admitted this on the podcast, I started watching Next Gen 720 podcasts to listen to these Xbox guys turning on each other and turning on Microsoft and realizing that exclusives suddenly matter. And I think it's entertaining to an extent, except for when they get real stupid and ignorant. And it reminds me of the Wii U era with Nintendo fans. Was a little rough with the split fan base and people demanding greatness and telling Nintendo what they got to do for the Wii U, and then they do the exact opposite for the Switch, and now all those people are in love with the Switch. The Wii U fans are like maybe feeling a little bit lacking the Switches in areas. So one of the things they are talking about on their podcast and stuff is they always talk about Sony's exclusives, and they give them props, but they give Nintendo props by just because they do what their fans like. They don't give them any props on their actual games and the actual quality of their development studios or anything like that. And then there was a recent video about Sony's, and I guess it was an old quote, so it was completely based on stupid, but I still believe it's true today. Sony invests more in their first-party studios than Nintendo and Microsoft combined, or their first-party development. And how could you even think that's not obvious? Like, have you played Uncharted 4? That 7 hours, I think, of cutscenes. Maybe it's 5 or 7. So it's basically a 5-hour CGI movie. The Detroit Becoming Human is basically a playable movie. Spider-Man has a lot of cutscenes, and it looks great. Multiple movie reviewers reviewed the Spider-Man PS4 game's cutscenes as a movie, like cut together as a movie. So obviously, fucking Sony invests the most in their first-party games just because of the high production costs. Now, in no way, shape, or form does that make them better games. And in most cases, it makes them worse games, I think. Fucking Hellblade, what was the development cost was $10 million. Looks just as good as God of War. And it's just as good of a game. So it's better than Uncharted. And it has minimal cutscenes. It's not super gameplay heavy type of game. But it looks as good to me as a Sony exclusive for $10 million. I'm guessing God of War, I'm just guessing, would be upwards of $40 million, I would think, development costs, production costs, and all that. So, yeah, they spend more money, And the most Nintendo's ever spent on a game was Breath of the Wild. They had like 300 people working on it, and it needed to sell 2 million copies to be profitable. And Hellblade at $30 had to sell 500,000 copies to be profitable at a 10 million budget. So that's half the cost. So that would mean if it was a $60 game, they'd only had to sell 250,000 copies. So you could say Breath of the Wild is 8 times the budget. So you could guess, you could use some math. I mean, it's not precise. I would guess Breath of the Wild's budget got over 50 million. Don't know for sure, but if they had to sell 2 million copies to be profitable, it was their biggest budgeted game. So we know the benchmark of the top of the end budget, and look what they did with that. But still, way less than these third-party multiplats. Final Fantasy 10 or 15 needed to sell 10 million to be profitable. So, 5 times the cost. And what did that get them? So it's not about spending the raw money. It's about spending it wisely and getting the most out of the money and putting it in the right places. So Breath of the Wild's money in development, when they went with the physics system, was a lot of problems had to be solved with the physics system. So, the gameplay was the main focus. The story, the cutscenes, they're not, there's not a lot. I don't know if it's even an hour's worth of all I doubt it's an hour of all the memories put together. The DLC added some. The cutscenes were amazing in Breath of the Wild, but they were shorter and, voice acted, but they were still, really well done, but not to the budgetary levels and production values of Sony. But look at what else Nintendo does, and do they need huge budgets for a 3D Mario game? I'm sure Odyssey had a good sized budget. I don't know what it was, but it went all into gameplay, creative, level design, and just awesome use of the gyro and motion controls and music and all that, and just phenomenal. So you look at another example of a Sony game, the Order 1886, I guarantee costs more than Breath of the Wild. Guarantee it. I have no evidence, but I would bet all my home consoles that I currently own on it that Order 1886 costs more than Breath of the Wild. And what did that get them? You got a 4 or 5 hour game with hardly any gameplay, and basically a flop in the sales. So investing money in high production value doesn't necessarily make for a great game. And I see Gravity Rush 2's popped up a few times in the chat. That is one of the best Sony exclusives I've ever played. It's right there with God of War on the PS4 for me. And Shadow of the Colossus. Those are the top 3 Sony exclusives I've ever played. And I think Gravity Rush 2 probably, budget-wise, it'd be a tenth of God of War, I'm sure, if not less. So it doesn't matter. The money put into it isn't as important as what the focus is, what the money's spent on. And so, you could say Sony's king when it comes to production value, cinematic type movies, the CGI movies basically in their games. But when it comes down to the gameplay, it's not even close. Like I made fun of God of War before I played it because of no one was talking about the not one person really was talking about the combat or the gameplay. They just talked about the story and the camera system. And when I played the game, like, why is no one talking about the combat, battling the what were they? The Valkyries. Like, that's the best part of the game. But anyway, so getting back to the main thought is that these Xbox guys, they respect Sony in their first party studios because they have to, because their Xbox games are just so lacking in the last few years. But then they just quickly dismiss Nintendo and their first party games and their development studios. And I know you could say, well, these are ignorant guys that are too insecure to play a Mario game. And that's true, but it still does speak to the mindset of these more, I don't even know what you call them. I mean, they play games, they talk about games, but it's Microsoft and Sony. They don't even really count Nintendo. I mean, repeatedly you hear comments like, well, Nintendo's not, they don't compete, they're not competing with Sony. You're telling me that 12 million copies of Smash Brothers in 2 months, that Sony's not feeling that? They're not like, wow, we need something like that. You could say, well, Horizon just shipped 10 million to stores. Horizon's been $20 for like the last year, if not more, and I think it's even cheaper. I think it was down to like $10. Somebody at T or somebody in the comments, if I know that game hit like $9 at one point. So Smash was $60 the whole time, selling 12 million. So that's a legit 12 million. Horizon's probably more like 5 million legit full price, if even that. Breath of the Wild was at 11 or 12 million. That's been full price the whole time. So you can't tell me that Sony and especially Microsoft aren't looking at Nintendo's 5 Switch games already over 10 million and aren't looking at that as competition. I mean, come on, that's just stupid. You got Nintendo's main Mario, Zelda, Mario Kart, that people think of Smash, but then they got the Yoshi team, they got the 2D Zelda team making, Link's Awakening, you got the 3D team making Breath of the Wild, you got a 2D, 3D Mario team, you got the Mario Kart team made ARMS, and, Mario Kart, obviously, Kirby team, Smash. Like, they have a lot of development studios making quality games consistently. And, 30 plus years of Mario games and still making creative new types of games with Mario, with Odyssey, 3D World, Galaxy 1 and 2. I mean, still being able to pull out fresh experiences. And I think the money side of it is just the argument you make when you can't really compete with Nintendo when it comes to the gameplay and just joy of playing the games and the quality of the games. I will say, since the PS3, the first party Sony games I've played have all been like bug free. They don't have glitches. They don't need major patches to work right. I mean, obviously I'm sure there's some glitches here and there, but from the Uncharted 2 to I'm thinking my PS3 library was very small. I should be able to think of, I think, 5 games I had. Last of Us, and then PS4 I've had Uncharted 4. I had God of War, Gravity Rush 2. They're all quality games. I mean, as far as they're not glitchy, they're not Bethesda, they're not Ubisoft, Ready Links, Trials, glitchy ass games that aren't optimized for any system. They're quality in that regard, and obviously they put a lot of money into the graphics engines, the acting, the cinematics, and they also make sure the games aren't buggy. So there's only respect to be given towards the technical side of those games. When it comes to the actual fun you have, that's completely subjective, up to the person, up to the type of gamer you are and the mood you're in. Like, I wouldn't have thought that Hellblade was a game I was going to enjoy. It's very linear. It has probably less gameplay than God of War. I mean, it's probably not even about it. It definitely has overall less gameplay. But I really enjoyed the game, and I have almost 9 hours. It's like 8.6 if I look on the app. So that was a game I really enjoyed. Didn't expect to. It's more in line of what something Sony would do. They did it for way cheaper. And let's look at some screenshots I took while playing this game. And just a really It was a really interesting game, really cool game. Um, art direction was good, technical level. On the technical side, everything was pretty solid. Some of the textures are a little less than appealing, and some of these photos, there's like a filter I put on. I was trying to get show the detail of the character model, because I don't think people quite understand how this is me just revolving the camera. This isn't the cutscene. This isn't during the game. This might have been photo mode, but it's a great looking game, and it feels very, very Sony like. But they only charged $30 for it because they knew it was a shorter experience, and they spent way less on it than most games. So yeah, it was this is an example of getting the most for your money. There are cutscenes where they filmed a live actor. It's a little bit off-putting, I guess. And he's next to, let's say, on the screen, where's my hand? Oh, I'm reversed. So let's say right here in this side of the screen, they had an actor, and they put these filters on it, so it's kind of blurring it out. You could still tell it was a real person interacting with the CG character model. And it was a little off-putting, but a way cheaper way for them to convey the story part. And it was effective. So they didn't waste their money on creating another CG character, more motion capture, and all that. They just filmed an actor in a costume. And that was a way they could get around. I like this shot. Spending money. I find my favorite shot though. This one right here. I actually made this my wallpaper on Twitter. This is me just pausing the game. I think this was photo mode. You can move the camera around. It's just a visually appealing game for way less money. So Sony's bragging about how much damn money they're spending. The answer to that would be, look at how much they spent. Look at how much Ninja Theory spent on this game, and it's can go toe to toe with your top game. So, what do you think of that? Anyway, I'm gonna read some comments and then get out of here. Sony's the king of first party games. Yeah, spending money wise. Oh, my ass. Nice. Sony bragging about how much money they spend instead of how good their games are. Yep. How is Nintendo output low when they publish an average of 4 first-party games per year during their console's life? 4 first-party games in a year is a big fail, Jack. I'm sorry. That's not enough when most people buy a Nintendo system for Nintendo games. Especially when you consider they joined their handheld and home console teams into one group, so they're no longer supporting 2 systems. So that's, to me, that's more important. Sorry, I was reading a comment. That's no excuse for 4 games in a year. When with this many studios, Nintendo and 2019's remedying that. Almost wish they would have split it up better. 2018 was one of the, other than Smash at the very end, which is basically 2019 to me. That's when I played the game the most. 2018 was a throwaway year as a Switch owner. I'm just reading some comments. Yeah, 2019's looking epic. What did we get in 2017? I mean, if you take away Breath of the Wild and Odyssey from 2017, you're left with some, I mean, ARMS was really good. Splatoon 2, in my opinion, was rushed out. Lacked a lot of content, but good game. And then you had Fire Emblem Warriors and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So yeah, I mean, there were some big games for sure. But when you look at 2019, you got the big games and you got the quantity. I don't know that they're gonna be able to do a 2019 again until maybe the next system's out, because you're talking their top tier franchises. Other than a 3D Mario game, pretty much, in a Metroid. So with Mario Maker, kind of, I know it's not a brand new 2D Mario game, but with the 3D world aspects, It's going to be awesome. You're getting a Fire Emblem, which is a pretty big franchise. You're getting Pokemon, which is the biggest franchise Nintendo's involved in. You're getting Animal Crossing, another almost the biggest. I think Mario Kart and 3D Mario or 2D Mario probably the only thing's bigger. And then you're talking Luigi's Mansion 3, a nice little fill-in game, and Link's Awakening. I mean, and I know I forgot something. Oh, Yoshi's Crafted World. Then you're getting exclusives like Daemon X Machina, which the demo to me plays pretty boring, but then you're getting Astral Chain, and then Bill Trinin's hinting that Bayonetta 3 could be out this year. Like 2019 is just spoils of riches. Like, and then you add in, even though I think they're the lesser version, you're adding in Trials, Mortal Kombat, Dragon Quest 11, Doom Eternal, if that comes out this year. You're talking some major third-party games. So 2019 is just, and this first 2 months, not just for Nintendo, just for gaming, it's probably the best first 2 months in a long time. I mean, when the Switch launched, that was in the third month, just over 2 months, you know, when Breath of the Wild came out. But talking Resident Evil 2, which is my easily going to be a Game of the Year contender for me. Trials Rising, I'm enjoying thoroughly. Kingdom Hearts 3, a little bit disappointing, but people enjoying it. The new Far Cry, I guess people are enjoying it. You got Dead Alive 6 coming out. It seems to be a good version. The reviews are looking good for that game. You got a new Mortal Kombat this year with all those Nintendo games. You got Last of Us Part 2 probably out this year. There's a lot of 2019 is going to be a big year. Yeah, it doesn't have that Red Dead Redemption big third-party multi-plat that's going to be the biggest seller, but 2019 is a big year. And it seems like once summer hits, what's up, Muhammad? Yeah, summer's kind of when it all starts. There's not a lot coming in spring, which is kind of sucks. It's going to be a busy year for a multi-console owner like myself. From summer to the end of the year, I have a feeling I'm going to be playing. I'm going to be buying Mario Maker. Going to be buying whenever Doom comes out, Link's Awakening, probably Fire Emblem. I feel like I'm missing. I need to look at a list. I forget. Luigi's Mansion, probably. Astral Chain, pretty much guarantee. Then there's the possibles, like depending on if Bayonetta 3 made it out, if depends on some games how they actually turn out. So yeah, it's going to be a busy last half of the year. No one says Doom's coming out this year. I'm just saying if it does come out this year. Maybe I just said it, kind of implied that it was. I'd be shocked if they weren't trying to get it out this year, but they didn't. I don't think they've said a year yet. Because Doom came out in 2016. So I think it's very likely they could get it out by the end of the year, but also just as likely it could get delayed. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. It's been a long Juice Opinions. Had some technical difficulties, but hopefully entertained you guys. And we'll be back on Monday. We're gonna talk about the Pokemon Sword and Shield with Terrell, the big Pokemon fan in the group. Hear his thoughts, debate. I don't think Retrodesk's going to be on, so won't have his take. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in on this Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Play some video games, and I'll see you.